What is going on, everybody? My name is the California Cougar, and we have reached that time of year. It is time for the best and worst movies of 2018. Now, I'm going to be honest, 2018 was not a good year for movies at all. In fact, I think it's one of the worst years ever, if not the worst year ever for movies. And that's saying something, considering I think 2008 and 2007 were both pretty terrible years. 2016 was pretty bad too, but I think 2018 could top all of them. It was awful. It was just awful. But there were some gems, and I'm going to talk about a lot of those gems in this video right here. So this is my top 10 best movies of 2018. But of course, as with any best and worst list, we got to go over some honorable mentions. So here they are. Alright, my first honorable mention is Maze Runner: The Death Cure. I thought that was a very underrated movie and a good conclusion to the Maze Runner series. I actually really like the Maze Runner series. Scorch Trial is not as good, but I do think Death Cure is the best of the Maze Runner movies. Good conclusion overall. Next one, Game Night, my biggest surprise of the year. I thought this was gonna suck so bad. It looked terrible from the trailers. But when I saw it, it was actually hilarious, minus like the first 20 minutes or so. But other than that, hilarious. Love this movie. Up next, Love, Simon. This was actually pretty close to making my top 10. It was hard to decide between this one and a couple others, but ultimately Love, Simon ends up on the what am I doing? This is best, not worst. It ultimately ends up on my honorable mentions. I really liked Love, Simon. Loved it a lot, actually. Minus a couple characters, but yeah, still a very charming coming-of-age story. Love, Simon, honorable mention. Up next, A Quiet Place. This was another one that almost made the list, but didn't. This is the best horror film of the year, one of the best horror films of the decade in my eyes, actually, and I don't usually say that about horror films. I'm not a big horror movie fan, so to see A Quiet Place and to actually put it on my best of the year list, I would say that's an accomplishment for the horror genre overall. Loved Emily Blunt in this. John Krasinski did an awesome job directing and starring in this. Loved A Quiet Place. Up next, Deadpool 2. This one almost made my top 10 list. It would be number 11 if I had a top 15. But yeah, like this, I originally gave an A+ to. I later lowered it to an A. Like, there's a couple films I think are better and deserve a spot on the list more, but nonetheless, Deadpool 2, hilarious sequel to the original. Love that movie. Up next, Won't You Be My Neighbor? The best documentary of the year. It's very, very touching and one of the best feel-good movies out there, I think. Great documentary, and I hope it wins Best Documentary at the Oscars. I think it will, but, I mean, who knows? The Oscars are full of surprises. Sometimes. They're also full of a lot of predictability, like last year's Oscars were. But, yeah. Up next, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now, a lot of people don't like this movie for some reason. I don't really know why. I thought it was great. I don't know if it's better than the original. I would say it's pretty close. It's definitely got some better action sequences than the original, though. And Paul Rudd is great. Evangeline Lilly, I thought she was fantastic as the Wasp. And I can't wait to see what Ant-Man and the Wasp does with the MCU. Like, how is it going to impact? How are Ant-Man and the Wasp going to impact Avengers Endgame, which, as you saw, was in my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2019. So yeah, it's another big honorable mention. Next one, First Man, another movie that a lot of people didn't really seem to like. But yeah, maybe it's just because I have a soft spot for aviation type movies, but I really enjoyed this movie. It had great cinematography. I thought Damien Chazelle did a really nice job. Definitely better than La La Land, his last film. But yeah, I love First Man. Great film. Up next, Bohemian Rhapsody, my underrated movie of the year. And this movie won the Golden Globe, and I honestly can't argue with that. I'm actually happy it won. Would have preferred another movie that was on there that you might see on the list. But yeah, nonetheless, Bohemian Rhapsody, very underrated movie. I thought it was awesome. Up next, Overlord, one of the most underappreciated movies of the year. I thought this was a badass action movie. It was kind of action horror, war film, like all that rolled into one. Still, really fun time at the theater seeing this one. And I drove 75 minutes to see this movie in theaters, and I gotta say it was worth it. So yeah, well done, Overlord. Up next, Roma, Alfonso Cuarón's newest movie. It's unfortunate that this one didn't get a theatrical release. I still really liked it nonetheless. Roma definitely deserves to be on a Best of the Year list, I think. And my last honorable mention is Bumblebee, another big surprise. A Transformers film that's actually good. So yeah, moral of the story, keep Michael Bay away from Transformers, because then it might actually be good. So yeah, that is it for my honorable mentions. Now we're going to get into the top 10 list, starting off with my number 10. Creed 2. I thought this was a fantastic follow-up to the original Creed, which came out in 2015. Sylvester Stallone was great once again, but Dolph Lundgren as Ivan Drago, that's his name. Dolph Lundgren as Ivan Drago, and then Victor Drago, the guy who played Victor Drago. They are fantastic villains in this movie. And the final fight sequence and the training montage I thought were both fantastic. Michael B. Jordan kills it again as Adonis Creed. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where they go if they do make a Creed 3. Because I think from what I remember, Sylvester Stallone's hanging up the towel after this. But yeah, nonetheless, Creed 2, great sequel, definitely deserves to be my number 10. Now, coming in at number 9 is a movie that I actually didn't think I was going to be putting on this list when I first saw it. But then I saw it again recently, and a lot of the flaws that I thought it had in the first film, like for some reason they just kind of vanished on the second viewing. Like I didn't really see them, or like maybe they were explained. But yeah, it made a whole lot more sense. So with that being said, my number 9 is Searching. Yes, Searching, aka what Unfriended should have been, or everything Unfriended should have been, pretty much. It takes place entirely on a computer screen, and wow, did this movie really surprise me. I thought, like, I did see a trailer for it. I thought it wasn't going to be any good. It just looked like a ripoff of Unfriended. But then I saw it, and I was like, wow, this is actually really good. In fact, it's great. Some people think it's a masterpiece, and I don't blame them. John Cho is fantastic. This has one of the best written screenplays of the year. I don't remember the director's name, Anish something. I think I'm not even going to try and pronounce it, otherwise I'm probably going to butcher it. But yeah, it's his first time directing. I can't wait to see what he does next. This story was engaging. This has a great first 5 minutes. Reminds me a lot of the first 5 minutes of Up in a way. Not quite as impactful, but still fantastic. Nonetheless, Searching, well done. Great movie. That's why it's number 9. Coming in at number 8 is another movie that's not as well known as some of the bigger movies to come out this year, but it's still very underappreciated, very good. Not a lot of people saw it, unfortunately, but yeah. Coming in at number 8 is Upgrade. That is right. That's another kind of like Overlord in a sense, except it's not really a war film, but it's like a badass action sci-fi thriller. Overlord has some sci-fi elements to it, and like between this and Overlord, you could really make a vouch for either one, but in my eyes, I think this is the better film overall. It's got one of the funniest action sequences of the year, like when Stem first takes over Logan Marshall Green's body. Like, he first takes over. Like, that action sequence was awesome, and it was hilarious at the same time. Upgrade, very underappreciated. A badass movie. So much fun to watch. And it has a great ending, too. A lot of people hate the ending to this movie for some reason. I don't really know why. I thought it was fantastic. So, yeah, that is why Upgrade is my number 8. Coming in at number 7 is from a director that I absolutely love. And yeah, I'm so glad he went back to like kind of what he did back in the 80s and 90s, making these types of movies, because oh man, this was just a spectacle of a movie and a lot of fun. My number 7 is Yes, Steven Spielberg is back, and he made one of the best looking movies of the year. In fact, I think this is the best looking movie of the year. Ready Player One. It was so much fun. I saw it 3 times in theaters. It was the most times I've seen a movie in theaters this year. Just a lot of fun. It's not entirely flawless, but it is still a work of art. And by the way, Film Twitter, I don't know what in the world you're talking about, but yeah, what they said about this movie just pisses me off to no end. But yeah, Steven Spielberg is back in his roots. Like these are the types of movies that make me love Steven Spielberg. And these types of movies are why Steven Spielberg is my favorite director of all time. So yeah, Ready Player One, number 7. Absolutely deserves it. Best Steven Spielberg movie since Catch Me If You Can. Alright, number 6. Now, my number 6 is the first animated movie on this list. And it's not going to be the last. But yeah, animation. Overall, it was a pretty great year for animation, despite being a terrible year in every other genre. But yeah, this is a sequel that we've been waiting for, what is it, 14 years or something ridiculous like that? Yeah, we somehow got 3 Cars movies, and yet it took 14 years to make this movie. But I'm so glad it's finally here. You all know what it is. That's right, it is The Incredibles 2. This time it's Elastigirl's turn to take over the reins, kind of, and then Bob, or Mr. Incredible, he kind of plays the stay-at-home dad, and hilarious shenanigans ensue with him, Violet, Jack, especially one scene with Jack and the raccoon. Like, that scene is, to me, the funniest scene of the year. It had me in stitches, basically. Absolutely hilarious. And I honestly think this movie was worth the 14-year wait. I don't think it's quite as good as the first movie, but it's still pretty awesome nonetheless. Elastigirl was awesome, Dash was awesome, Jack kind of steals the show. Violet, she has a hilarious scene in a restaurant that I thought was great. And like all the character arcs I think really work well here. So yeah, with all that being said, that is why Incredibles 2 is definitely incredible, pun intended, and that's why it's number 6 on my list. Coming in at number 5 is another animated movie, and it's actually another animated sequel. And I thought the first movie was great. To me, this movie is even better. My number 5 is Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. I'm gonna wreck it! He actually doesn't really do that very much in this movie, but yeah, still, nonetheless. Anyway, Ralph Breaks the Internet, I thought was a fantastic follow-up to the original Wreck-It Ralph. I loved pretty much every bit of this movie. It looks amazing, and the characters are awesome. Vanellope is one of the best characters of the year in my eyes. Ralph is great, and like their chemistry works really well once again, just like it did in the first movie. And you get to see like basically the whole, like all of the internet in this entire movie, and not to mention the Disney princess scene. Another hilarious scene, one of the funniest scenes of the year. Just absolute gold. And yeah, just so amazing. Loved seeing all the Disney princesses make an appearance. Like, I was geeking out at the whole Disney scene. It reminded me a lot of Ready Player One in a way, except I think this movie's even better than that one. But yeah, Ralph Breaks the Internet, just so awesome. Like, all the character dynamics. Gal Gadot was great too, and I didn't think her character would be that good, but Shank, she was awesome, I thought. And the whole Slaughter Race thing, A Place Called Slaughter Race, one of the most underrated original songs of the year, I think. And it's in the running for the Oscars, so maybe it'll get a nomination. Probably not, but maybe? Yeah, anyway, Ralph Breaks the Internet is my number 5. Also, yeah, the Emoji Movie, yeah, go burn in flames. Just, yeah, this is everything the Emoji Movie tried to be and failed. So, yeah, that is why Ralph Breaks the Internet is my number 5. My number 4, now we're getting into the really good stuff. These are the 4 movies I gave a perfect 100 to. These top 4 movies. Starting off with the first MCU film on the list. That is Yes, it is Black Panther. Ryan Coogler is the man. He directed one hell of a superhero film. One of the best films in the MCU, the best reviewed film in the MCU, and it's getting a lot of Oscar buzz. It already got a lot of nominations at the Golden Globes, including Best Picture. It didn't win. I think it should have won over Bohemian Rhapsody, but still, like, Black Panther is just awesome, and I hope it does get love at the Oscars. Of course, the only reason it's getting love at for the Oscars right now is because of, like, the whole it's all politics, but still, like, at least they're actually honoring a superhero movie despite the reasoning for it. I'm still glad it's getting a lot of Oscar love because it deserves it. A lot of people think it doesn't deserve Best Picture. People are giving it the Frozen treatment. I don't know why. Killmonger is one of the best MCU villains. Some say he is the best MCU villain, and I can't really argue with that because he's just that great. Michael B. Jordan was great. Chadwick Boseman was fantastic. All around a great superhero film. A lot of great fights, a lot of great character arcs. What are those? I was laughing at that. I'm sorry. A lot of people didn't like that joke, but I really liked it. It had me laughing. So yeah, that is why Black Panther is my number 4. Give this movie a Best Picture nomination, please. My number 3 is yet another animated film on this list, and yet another superhero film. And to me, this is the best animated film of the year, hands down. Like, nothing comes close to this. Ralph Breaks the Internet and Incredibles 2 are awesome, but to me, this is easily the best. And yes, my number 3 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This is not only the best animated film of the year, one of the best superhero movies of the year. To me, this is the best Spider-Man film, hands down. Even over Spider-Man Homecoming, which is a movie that I absolutely adored. But yeah, like, it still doesn't compare to this. Just the way all these characters come together, like, it's a Spider-Verse, basically. Like, Miles Morales is one of the best characters of the year, if not the best character of the year, in my eyes. I thought Haley Steinfeld's character was awesome. Nicolas Cage, though, he pretty much steals the show as soon as his character shows up. Spider-Man Noir was just amazing. And, like, all the other Spider characters are great as well. And, like, the whole dynamic between Miles and his dad and his uncle, who was played by Mahershala Ali, I think, believe it or not. But yeah, they were all great. Like, this movie is a spectacle to behold. It's a masterpiece in my eyes. That is why Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is my number 3. Alright, now here we are. We are in the top 2 movies of 2018. Now, any of the top 4 really could be interchangeable. Like, any of them could be argued as the number 1 movie of the year. And I wouldn't argue against any of them. But yeah, to me, this is how I order my list. So, yeah, with that being said, my number 2, it's the best action movie of the decade, in my eyes. It's the best action movie of the decade. And that, of course, is... Yeah, that's right. Tom Cruise is back in action once again in Mission Impossible Fallout. To me, this is not only the best action movie of the decade, it's the best Mission Impossible film, and it's arguably one of the best action movies ever. Like, to me, it's probably the best action movie I've seen since Casino Royale in 2006, and that's saying a lot. Because I absolutely love action movies. It's my favorite genre of film. But yeah, Tom Cruise, he's like, what, 55, 56 years old, and he's still doing his own stunts? Like, dude, I know you're trying to make a good movie, but don't hurt yourself, man. Or don't kill yourself. In fact, he actually did hurt himself making this, I think. I think he broke his collarbone in, like, a motorcycle stunt or something. I don't know. I think he was in the hospital because of doing one scene. But yeah, he's 56 and he's still doing crazy stunts. That's awesome to me. That's dedication. And he's that's the reason he's my favorite action star, my favorite actor of all time, Tom Cruise. He's just awesome. And some of the action scenes in this movie, the bathroom fight, the halo jump, the helicopter scene at the end, just wow. Like, I don't know how they're going to top this in Mission Impossible 7. Like, Tom Cruise is saying they already have ideas for Mission Impossible 7. I don't know how they're going to top this. And this franchise has just been getting better with each installment. Like, I thought the first one was underrated. The second one wasn't very good, but then the third one was good. The fourth one was great. The fifth one was even better, I thought. And then you have this one, which is the best of them all. It's an action masterpiece. I can't wait to see what they do with Mission Impossible 7, even if it doesn't top this one. Hopefully it'll still be great. Christopher McQuarrie, you're awesome. That is why Mission Impossible Fallout is my number 2. And here we are, guys. Here we are, the number 1 movie of 2018. And a lot of you have probably who have been watching up to this point probably already know what this movie is. It's not really a surprise to anybody. I mean, how could this movie not be number 1? That, of course, is that is right. It is the movie that we've been waiting 10 years to see. Avengers Infinity War, baby. That is number 1. I mean, how could that not be number 1 on my list? I've been saying it for a while. It's a 6 out of 5 movie, 11 out of 10, 101 out of 100, whatever you want to call it. To me, it's flawless. Like, there is nothing wrong with this movie in my eyes. Thanos is the greatest superhero villain of all time, and that's saying a lot considering I love the Joker in The Dark Knight, but I think Thanos might have topped him. I really do. Thanos is awesome. Everything makes sense. All the characters are fantastic. The Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man, Iron Man, just every single character has a reason to be in this movie. It all makes perfect sense. Black Panther, just everything about this movie is fantastic. The visual effects are nice, and all the action sequences are great. Like, this is the movie we've been waiting 10 years to see. And that ending, oh my god, that ending. I can't wait for Avengers Endgame. There's a reason it's number 2 on my most anticipated movies of the year next year. I can't wait to see it. Bring it on. I want to see the end of this. And I want to see how this plays out. Like, April cannot... Oh, I just hit my camera. April cannot come soon enough. Like, I hit my camera there. That's how excited I am for it. And yeah, that is why Avengers Infinity War is my number 1 movie of 2018. It is the best movie of the year in my eyes. Bring on Avengers Endgame. Let's go. Alright, and that is it. Those are my top 10 best movies of 2018. What do you think on my list? Make sure to let me know down in the comments below what your top 10 movies of 2018 are. Do you agree with some of my picks? Do you disagree with them? Are you going to leave hate in my comments about why a certain movie was not on the list? Star Sport! But, yeah, there's a reason that movie's not on my list. Like, I thought it was good, but I don't think it's a masterpiece like everyone else does. But, yeah, anyway, make sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments below, what you thought of my list. And, again, leave your top 10 list down below if you want. And, yeah, that'll be it for this video. So, make sure to stay tuned for next time where I do my top 20 worst movies of 2018. And, yes, I'm doing a top 20 because guess how many, oh my gosh, I'm going to mention it in my worst of video, but just wait to see how many movies are on my worst of the year list. Oh my gosh, it's going to take a lot longer to make that video than it is this one. I'm just going to say that now. But yeah, that is it for my top 10 best movies of 2018. So make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until next time, once again, my name is the California Cougar. And always remember to stay California cool. Peace.